truth of that is in the image of the crucifixion, which I see as goes beyond religion or anything. There is, some people dislike it. They say, oh, I don't like the image of this man on the cross. It's all to do with suffering and it's unhealthy and so on. But there is a deep meaning there that for a long time perhaps could not be expressed in an abstract way. And that meaning is, here you have the image of complete suffering of a human. He's nailed to the cross, which is a torture instrument. And this human is able to surrender and accept, not my will, but thy will be done. And then suddenly the torture instrument becomes a symbol of the divine. Isn't that strange? The torture instrument has become a symbol of the divine. So through acceptance, whatever looks like an obstacle or even a dreadful thing becomes transformed. Every situation that's accepted deeply, and if it's a very big thing like a crucifixion, there needs to be very deep acceptance, and immediately there's a transformation. So the grace is hiding also in that which looks dreadful, the dreadful sufferings that we see.
Like the man in the prison. Okay.
All around us, they are there, but it's hiding, and you can only see the truth of this in yourself. I'm not saying anybody should believe in that. You have to find out for yourself that grace is hiding in what the seemingly dreadful things, even in little things that go wrong, but even more so in big things that go wrong, so to speak. And ultimately you see it's not wrong. It didn't go wrong. That what it looks like in the moment when you judge it. So that's the inviting grace into your life through bringing this deep yes to the present moment. Then
I always keep my tissues
your
here
evolution accelerates. And the more you do that, the less you need the disasters. Because you cooperate with the flowering of consciousness. Consciousness wants to flower into this dimension, in this dimension. So it's welcoming really what is.
That was my stroke.
Yes.
Yeah. And that I was in the hospital and I looked at all the doctors, nurses, my family, my friends were all, you have a stroke. And I felt by their minds rubbing off, I was feeling some terrible thing has happened. And there was a picture on the wall of Maharaji, and he was, this stroke is grace. And there are three fellows here. They're my medical team. And I wouldn't have met them share philosophy and medical things, but I had the stroke. So that was a grace. And then I had before my stroke, I had a book, How Can I Help? It's called, How Can I Help? I was feeling I was helping. And after the stroke, I wrote a book, How Can You Help Me? I wouldn't have thought it possible that I was so dependent and find in myself. And I learned a lot about dependency. And that was positive.
Many of you have probably seen the film made of Ram Dass's life called Fierce Grace. I love that title.
Yeah.
Because when something major like that happens, it really is fierce. And when surrender happens there, it takes you very deep. So it's when fierce grace comes into your life, then that potential is there for going very deep, and that fierce grace burns up the illusory self. It's the fire in which the ego gets burnt up. It can also be a place where the ego gets strengthened through saying, oh, dreadful.
No rain.
What happened to me? Life, how can life do that to me? How can God do that to me? Why did that happen to me? That blocks it, what is potentially a huge opening into burning up of, one could say, thousands of years of accumulations are burnt up in that fire. So that's perhaps good to know for anybody who is at this moment facing a major, very major challenge in life.
In just a couple of moments, we're going to open up to your questions and questions from our online.
There's a feminine quality there, which is the embrace everything. So you can embrace the loud noise, although you might get a shock maybe there. That doesn't mean you resisted the noise. There's the shock, and immediately after the shock, there is the allowing. You can practice that when you bump into something. I sometimes recommend that as another spiritual practice, because sometimes you bump into something with your elbow or your foot, and there's a sharp pain. And usually there's the pain, and immediately after the pain, you shout something. It may be a 4-letter word. Usually it's 4 letters. And it's quite a lovely practice if you bump into something and the pain is there, but immediate acceptance and no comment or commentary or further reaction except the physical reaction. It's just quite lovely. And nothing else. So the sharp noise, you don't say, "Oh, I love this sharp noise." No, it's embraced in the, "I allow you to be here." That's the love, really, rather than "I love you." No, but I allow you to be here at this moment in the way you are, and the you can be a person or a situation. I allow you to be as you are in this moment. That's love.
Judgmental or angry.
There are moments of anger that can happen, usually don't last very long. There's an awareness in the background that accepts the anger when it happens. So one is not totally in the grip of the anger, but a space around it. Or sadness can arise. I sometimes cry when I see something sad, or somebody dying. For example, we were walking in Italy last year, visiting a small town, and the church bells were ringing. The people with me were walking on, and I was just standing at the square in front of the church, and they were carrying out a coffin, and some of the relatives were standing around, and I wept. I don't know who died. I have no idea of that person, because to me that moment was it embodied the death of every human being that ever lived and ever will live. It embodied the impermanence of the human condition, and I cried, but it wasn't a crying of despair. There was a beauty, there was a peacefulness underneath the crying, but I did cry. I didn't say that there should be no death, or death is a travesty. No, there was an acceptance, but nevertheless, it was actually a beautiful experience. But the deep sadness there was, but underneath it there was a knowing of there is something that doesn't die, that's there. So that's how an emotional can still exist within the spaciousness.
Anything to say about loving what seems unlovable?
Something what?
Any more to say about loving what seems at first unlovable?
I love it all. I mean, even that, and you've got to you bring it towards you. And we all had a chance to love a dictator this year, and he was a form that was causing suffering to many people. Does that make him unlovable? I think that each form is a form of God.
sometimes in heavy disguise.
Well,
Heavy disguise sometimes.
Jakob. Yeah. Yeah.
There's another question here, wondering how...
I think I'm gonna stop this video for today because it's pretty long. But if you want to watch the whole video, you can definitely check it out down in the description below. You can just click that link and it'll take you right here. Let me stop recording this. It's already been an hour. Okay. Alright. Well, maybe I have something to say a little bit about this accepting of impermanence, because it's a lot about what my book's about, and a lot about what I teach is this acceptance of impermanence, this acceptance of being able to look at the darkness of life, look at the inevitable aspects of the human experience, and to be able to look at those people with the understanding of love, and being able to look at something like me having cancer, or that moment of deep depression and suffering and sadness, and to be able to look at that, like with the word that they were using, with grace, and to say this was perfect because it led to me becoming me as I am right now. It led to me taking on a journey. It led to me growing out of a challenge, even growing from this hardship, and seeing for myself the possibilities of using that moment to create something even more beautiful, to transform, instead of to feel as if I were a victim to that circumstance and to be angry at it, but to decide within myself as a 19-year-old to take those steps to bettering myself, to learning about life, learning about the world, learning about philosophies and what was possible, the mind liberation possible, even in a circumstance that looked really hard or challenging. And yes, just being able to look at those, even those people who seem unlovable, who have committed really harmful acts to others, or who have hurt the world in some way, but being able to see myself even in that, being able to see the human condition that has led to that monster becoming a monster, or led to this form becoming who they became, and still seeing, like he was saying, like a child of God, if you want to use that word. I don't like that word, but seeing the newborn baby in them, and seeing perhaps what could have led to that to become what it became, what could have led to this, and just these questions about, do we create change with forcing somebody to change, or can pure love, can that be the catalyst to cause somebody to want to change themselves? A good question to ask. I don't know if it's the absolute truth. I would say look at your own life and what you feel is the truth, and to find the truths within yourself, to go on your own healing journey as I have been on, and to find your own truths and your own versions of truth, if you want to call it that. Alright, so I will leave you guys there with that today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it inspired you to change your own life or to change somebody else's life. I hope you guys are enjoying these reaction videos. If you have any videos you would like for me to react to next, you can send those to my email at vibratecreate@gmail.com, or you can find me on Instagram at vibratecreate. I am honored to be sharing this information with you guys, as I have spent so many years learning for myself and trying to help cultivate myself or teach myself new ways of seeing or believing. And yeah, I am very honored to be here with you, sharing this experience with you, this moment that will be eternal for forever, even after this body is not here. I'm so excited for my book to come out. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments, send me a message, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!